Not willing to accept any idea on faith, at the age of 12, Ayn Rand seriously weighed the concept of God. If God represented the highest possible to man, she reasoned, then man by nature is inferior to God and can never reach that ideal. Considering this a degrading and unfounded claim, she simply made an entry in her diary. Today, I have decided to be an atheist. The Orthodox Russian religion that permeated the country was never a serious concern for her. She knew that those around her were not representative of mankind. Someday she would find her kind of people, rational, purposeful, happy people, and that a proper life would begin beyond the border.
Ayn, in general, hated Russia, pre-communist and post-communist. She thought it was a mystical, backward, uncivilized country, that it was perfectly logical that the Tsarist regime should give rise to communism, and that the only thing to do is get as far from it as she could.
It is the ugliest and incidentally most mystical country on earth.
But they're the ones that decry atheism. They're singing your song.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry, decry Christianity. I'm sorry, decry religion is what I meant to say.
No, they really don't. They have a materialistic mysticism of their own. Because if the mystics, the religionist people tell you the mind, well, they don't speak of the mind, but usually the soul is the only thing of value about you, the body is evil. And the Russians will say, no, there isn't such a thing as a soul or a mind. There's only your body. It's materialism. They believe that you're not a man, but a collection of atoms.
And give that body to the state for the collective effort of the...
That's right, for the good of the whole and sacrifice to the state. And whoever says it is or wants to be the state. Religion is a primitive form of philosophy. Because what religion and philosophy have in common is that it's a system of background premises. It gives you a frame of reference, a context, in fundamental terms. And then you live the concretes of your life accordingly. So religion is primitive, canned philosophy, if you want to. It gives you canned answers, and it says, here, you can rely on it, you don't need to think. It will tell you what to do in practically every situation, just obey us, take us on faith. Well, why do people accept it? Because nobody can live without a philosophy. Mm-hmm. Even the most primitive, unthinking man needs something to tie all of his actions, ideas, and his life together. He needs integration. Religion provides it to him ready-made. Every argument for the existence of God is incomplete, improper, and has been refuted, and people go on because they want to believe. Well, I regard it as evil to place your emotions, your desire, above the evidence of what your mind knows.
Okay, and I regard it as intellectually lazy to look at the universe and to suggest, as you seem to be doing, that this is all some accident.
I didn't say that.
Well, how in the world did we get all this order? Aren't you impressed with that?
No, because the order is only in good cases in the minds of your scientists who are able to understand some part of it. Yeah. But there isn't an artificial order in the universe, and it's not chance. What would be the alternative? Nature. That the universe, and remember, the universe is everything that exists, has always been here. Because you cannot discuss or know anything about what was here before anything existed. That's what you're doing with the idea of God, speaking philosophically.
True.
You say you need someone to explain the order, but what will you then have to explain God?
Religion or the God concept or faith or worship has people thinking of life as a veil of tears through which you will probably not get without falling. You are essentially an evil person who is bent toward...
Well, most religions do preach just that.
And you don't believe that?
God, no.
We are here, and we should celebrate it, use it, enjoy it, be selfish. There's a virtue in selfishness.
Right.
And we got ourselves in trouble when we started using government to force us to be good because we had this notion that we had a sort of bad nature.
Right. And if we have a bad nature, we have no self-esteem. If we have no self-esteem, any demagogue can have us. He can order us about because we wouldn't consider ourselves valuable enough to be free. You would be anxious to follow anyone because you don't trust yourself.
In November of 1979, not long after their 50th wedding anniversary, Frank's life came to an end at the age of 82.
Does this emotional impact of this kind of pain alter in any way your own philosophy?
No. It only altered my position in regard to the world. In other words, which is that I lost my top value. I'm not too interested in anything else. But I'll survive it because I do love the world in general. And I do love ideas.
Yes.
And I do love men. But my personal is a loss now.
Isn't there a temptation for you, and I don't mean this to flip to suggest that you're not sincere in your writings, to hope for a reunion with the person you love, to look beyond the...
I've asked myself just that, seriously. And I thought if I really believed that for 5 minutes, I'd commit suicide immediately. And I know that cannot be right.
In other words, you'd get to him right away.
To get to him, of course. I'll tell you more. I ask myself, how would I feel if I think he is now on trial before God or St. Peter, and I'm not with him?
To testify or to help him out.
Exactly. My first desire in that case would be to run to help him and tell how good he was.
Ayn Rand does not fear death, does she?
No. Only the death of someone I love, but not my own.
I once spent part of an evening alone with Ayn Rand talking, and somehow the subject of death came up. And I asked her if she was afraid of dying. And she said, no, death is insignificant and unimportant. Eternity is important, and eternity is now. I'll never forget that.
I tend to think of this whole thing as ongoing, that there is an eternity, and that we are going to be a part of that eternity, that we aren't just corpses in graves when we die.
But we aren't corpses in graves. We are not there. Don't you understand that when this life is finished, you're not there to say, oh, how terrible that I'm a corpse. No.
Well, this is true.
It's finished. And what I've always thought was a sentence from some Greek philosopher. I don't unfortunately remember who it was, that I read at 16, and it's affected me all my life. I will not die. It's the world that will end. And that's absolutely true. And, you know, for me now, it should be a serious question because my time is fairly limited, and I have the same feeling that I will enjoy life to the last moment. And when it's the end, I don't have to worry about it. I'm not there. It's too bad that the world will end, and I think a very wonderful world will end with me. But I've had my time. I can't complain.
You love this country, don't you?
Passionately.
Yeah.
Very, very much. And consciously. I love it for its ideas. And I've seen enough of the other side, so I can appreciate this country.
You might even get emotional about this country, huh?
Oh, yes. Why they want me to get emotional?
Might even thank God for it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I may not literally mean a God, but I like what that expression means. Thank God or God bless you. It means the highest possible to me. And I would certainly thank God for this country.